All right, I'm gonna get it started then. And like I said, so there's two segments to it. I'm gonna share my screen, and I think it's this one.
And Jerry, after the there's two segments. I think one is like 20 minutes and the other one is like another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
In between segments, you can go over like any questions that you have. I mean, I know you're pretty familiar with Reno, but there is some different things that if you wanna ask some questions and things like that, just shoot off, and I'm here. That's why I'm here.
Absolutely, man.
All right, so this one is the first one. It's 14 minutes. Let me know how audio is.
Welcome to AnnieMac Home Mortgage's National Lunch and Learn League. Congratulations on
I would put it up a little.
learning everything you need to know to increase your business with Renovation Home Mortgages. I'm Kevin Dolan.
I'm Landy Garcia, and we're the co-directors of AnnieMac Home Mortgage Renovation
I'm
Department.
working on a little more
Today,
volume.
we're going to review everything that you need to know to make an impact in your business using renovation financing. Thank you for attending.
Welcome again to AnnieMac Worx Realtor Reno Certification. AnnieMac Worx is offering this certification to real estate agents to enhance your knowledge on everything Reno and how to help develop more business for you. AnnieMac Home Mortgage has one of the finest renovation departments corporately located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, where we don't farm out any parts of the renovation process. In addition, to help serve all of your clients, we offer something called our Red-Carpet Renovation Call. This call is set up as early as a mortgage pre-qualification, where we're going to put you, the realtor, your client, our borrower, and anyone else involved on a phone call early on in the process to give them all the knowledge they need to know about the steps, including who's in the process, the chronological order, and everything they need to expect for a renovation loan. In the certification today, we have broken this down into two modules. We want to talk about why we're even offering this renovation designation to you, recognizing the opportunities you as a realtor may come across that will help you develop more business, some basic scripting on how you can speak to your clients as it relates to a renovation loan, and different scenarios you should identify. In Module 2, we're going to review the renovation basics, the 101 of anything you should need to know about renovation loans.
At AnnieMac, we believe that renovation financing is underutilized in the marketplace. There's a lot of opportunity with inventory issues where you can use renovation financing to assist buyers and sellers with properties that are in disrepair. There's a lot of misconceptions with renovation financing where realtors feel that it's a complicated process or your commissions are affected when it comes to renovation financing. And with this course, you'll be able to understand how you can use renovation financing to impact your business.
So one of the reasons why a lot of realtors don't participate in even offering or speaking about renovation loans to their clients is because of the myths, horror stories, and a lot of the bad press that's out there on the internet. Some of the myths might be the loans take forever to close. They're going to, not get their commission on time, things like that. Horror stories, where I was working on a deal for 6 to 9 months and it never ever closed. The internet obviously is putting out all the different bad press, and more or less people are just hearing all these things and saying, I don't want to take part of it. Well, that's why there's an opportunity. When all of these things are being said, that's one of the reasons why we're putting this course together, and one of the reasons why you as a realtor have an opportunity to be someone who can specialize in this market where there's not much competition right now.
Right. So a lot of these myths are actually not true. We can close these loans effectively just like any other transaction, and you can set yourself apart from your competition.
So a lot of realtors will steer away from doing renovation loans because they feel that they're too time consuming. One of the things that makes AnnieMac different is that we have a red carpet call. Why we do these calls is to set the right expectations up front and not have our clients learn the process as they go along. If you have all of the ducks in a row up front, this definitely is one of the reasons why they do not take much more time than any other loan. Another thing we hear is that they take forever to close. That's simply not true. Most renovation loans take in or around the same amount of time as any other non-renovation loan transaction. The structure and process that we have allows us to stay efficient in getting you from point A to point B in a very fast way. The other thing is that it's one easy loan where the renovations start after the loan closes. Therefore, the loan closes, and the renovations begin. Another thing we hear real estate agents speaking about is that it takes forever for them to get their commission. That's simply not true as well. After the loan closes and the purchase transaction is closed, that's when you get your actual commission, just like any other transaction. The renovation process from start to finish has no impact on when a realtor gets their actual paycheck. In addition, we hear that there are always too many people involved in the process. And again, that's not true as well. Our team is dedicated and works closely with all the HUD consultants and contractors. We keep communication open and available to all every step of the way. There are too many limits on what you can do or can't do. Again, that's simply not true. It's quite the opposite, actually. You can do more renovations than the actual value of the house in many cases, tapping into equity that's not there. You can simply do paint or carpet all the way to luxury items like swimming pools with some renovation loan programs that we have, and everything in between. These can only be used by first-time home buyers. Again, this is also not true. Any qualified buyer can use a renovation loan program. We actually have loan programs now that can be for primary occupancy, somebody buying a second home, and in some cases, even an investment property.
So here's a few things that are unique to renovation loans. You can take buyers and show them the opportunity to purchase a property at a wholesale price and make it their own. You can customize the property. You can include features that otherwise the buyers could not afford. And more importantly, with inventory issues across the nation, you can take buyers who are looking in neighborhoods that they otherwise couldn't afford by looking at properties that are at a wholesale price. Right? So wholesale versus retail. Properties that are turnkey have a price associated with that beautiful home that's already staged and ready to go. Some of your first-time buyers could be frustrated with offers that they've made, and this is the opportunity for you to show them a program that will allow them to buy the right property in the right neighborhood, include all the costs to renovate the property, make it their dream home, and include it all in one loan. In many cases, these buyers can end up with instant equity once they move into the home and have every detail that they've ever wanted already in the scope of work. So there's definitely an opportunity for you to set yourself apart by introducing your buyers to renovation financing.
Here's a perfect example of somebody who was looking to buy a home in a certain area who could not afford the actual real estate that was on the market. So what we were able to do is we had their realtor look for homes that were a little bit below market price, but these homes obviously were in need of repair and renovation. As you can see on the before picture on the left, the home obviously was much smaller, and it didn't really compare to the homes in the area that he was looking at. So we were able to buy the house for a much lower price, use a renovation loan to add square footage, add a bathroom, add a bedroom. And if you can see here on the after picture to the right, the home came out beautiful. This is a perfect example of taking someone who may have normally not bought in a certain area and being able to provide a solution and an option to them and find them a house in the neighborhood they still wanted to be in using a renovation loan. And in addition, by buying the house at such a low price and doing these improvements, the buyer of this home was able to achieve a lot of instant equity, in this case, over $75,000.
A renovation loan, by definition, is a loan that includes the purchase price plus the cost of the renovation, all rolled into one loan. So here are a few examples of advantages that come with using renovation loans. Which one of your buyers wouldn't be pleased with these results? Here are some examples that we can go through. $255,000 purchase, rental budget of $34,500. The after improved value in this case was $300,000. So the buyer made the renovations that they wanted and had an equity of $10,500 in the end. Another example of one of our clients, $135,000 purchase, $66,000 renovation, after improved value of $235,000. Equity creation was $33,600. So here are examples of scenarios where you're putting buyers into homes that they've customized and receive instant equity at the end. This is something that your competitors aren't doing simply because they're not talking about renovation loans. Here are some additional examples of before and after photos of some of the clients that we've serviced.
Next, we're going to discuss a few different common scenarios that can come up. With now the knowledge that you have about how renovation loans work, you may be able to provide a solution. So let's say you're going about a normal transaction, whether it just be a regular conventional or FHA transaction where the buyer gets the appraisal back and the home is subject to the completion of repairs that are needed for that deal to close. Under normal circumstances, you would go to the seller or you would try to negotiate those repairs to be fixed so that the appraiser could go back out and complete the transaction. Let's just say that's not an option and the seller is not cooperating or does not have the funds to do so. In this case, a renovation loan could be utilized for the buyer to take on adding those repairs and renovations into a renovation mortgage, creating a solution for that transaction to close. A very common thing that comes up that we see all the time. So in this case, why pass on a transaction and have to start all over with that buyer when a renovation loan can be utilized and that transaction can be completed? We have a lot of real estate agents who now don't fear inspection issues, because when you're using a renovation loan, you can go about any transaction knowing that if repairs do happen to come up or there's some iffy repairs, you're not sure if they're going to come up, and they do, you have the solution in your back pocket to accommodate those repairs into a renovation mortgage. Let's just say a buyer wants certain things that you can't find them. Say, for example, a buyer wants to have a house and they have a need for 3 bedrooms or 2 bathrooms in this case, and the market that they're looking in or the neighborhoods that they're looking in only have 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. A renovation loan can be utilized in this lack of inventory market that we're all experiencing to maybe present an option where an additional bedroom or bathroom can be added to the house, therefore providing an option and solution to an inventory issue right then and there. We find that that's a common solution that, the savvier real estate agents who understand how to use these products are actually, accomplishing. Here's another one. How many of you have been on appointments where the seller of a home is either upside down or maybe will be upside down and owe more to sell their house after real estate commissions and the payoff of the current mortgage that they have, where a listing is then not an option because they don't have the money to bring to the table to sell their house? Well, in this case, we've been successful in offering a renovation loan to refinance the existing home, tapping into equity that's not there by using a renovation mortgage to increase the square footage of the home, add bedrooms and bathrooms, therefore now having that house be comparable to other homes, increasing its value and being able to see an option for that seller now to sell the house. In which case, you as a realtor will be taking all the credit by referring them to your AnnieMac loan officer, who will be able to let you know when the renovations are done so that you can get a for sale sign into that house where you normally would not have had any options. And in most cases, be able to take that seller and obviously find them a new house for them to buy as well. Therefore, it could be a total of 2 transactions. Lastly, for all you listing agents in the room, how about a house that you've had problems selling? Usually it's because of the condition in most cases we find. Well, how about taking that house, getting a contractor to the home, listing the items that need to be repaired and the cost of how those repairs would be done, and introducing a renovation mortgage to all the prospective buyers. You're then kind of connecting the dots for them, showing them vision, showing them the vehicle from getting from point A to point B, and using a renovation mortgage to say, hey, we know the house is in the condition that it's in today. Here's how much it's going to cost. And here's a loan program that will allow you to buy the house with a low down payment, including all of those repairs into it, so that at the end you have the final product that you want. We've seen a lot of listing agents take a lot of success from that initiative and marketing homes with renovation mortgages. We even offer different type of co-branded and payment calculation brochures and flyers that your AnnieMac Home Loan Officer can introduce to you as well. Thank you for your time thus far. We have now reached the end of Module 1. I don't think there's any surprise that everyone's excited about all of the ways that you can use a renovation loan to increase your business as a real estate agent. We look forward to going to Module 2, where we'll discuss the loan basics and the 101s. Thank you.
All right. Give me 1 second. Right, we picked up
Jesse, I think you're speaking, but your mic is muted.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Thanks. Yeah. Do you want to hop into module 2 right away, then go over all the questions at the end, or is there anything that's stuck out on those slides to you?
I actually have one quick question, just
Go
because
ahead.
I've done renovation loans in the past. But I saw an email that came out maybe a day or two ago with appraisers. And I guess some appraisers are being pushed out to where homes may not necessarily be appraised until maybe, I think they said 140 days or so after the home closes. It was something crazy like that. How would that affect a rental loan?
I'm not seeing that. So appraisals are only being affected with AnnieMac. I can tell you that appraisals are only being affected with cash out refinances right now. If someone a cash out refinance, they really need to get in the house, look at it, because someone's taking cash out and we got to make sure that the equity is there.
Got it.
Other than that, we're doing a lot of drive-bys, desktop appraisals, exterior only, and they're matching up the comps and doing it that way. So with a renter loan, they don't really go in the house anyways, because they're matching up everything that we already have from the HUD consultant, which is the specifications of repair report and the contractor's estimate, and then going off of that with the comps. So yeah, we won't have any problems with it.
Yeah, I have one closing this Friday. I talked to the appraisers at the property Tuesday.
Hey,
And we're clear to close next Friday.
well, when everything's almost done, will you?
Who did mute? Who did mute?
I think it was Dom.
No, I in real time just had like I said, this renovation loan's been in the works, and appraiser went out on Tuesday. She gave me a call. Everything's done. It's closing next Friday. So now she'll also told me she'll be the one to go back and do the post, work and appraisal, and she'll be managing that whole process. So no, they're good. They're still popping, and
Great.
And a lot of people ain't doing them right now too, Jerry. So I just put one in. I just put one in yesterday, and the list. I talked with the listing agent. He's like, "Are you sure that you guys can get this done? Because everybody else I talked to can't do renter loans right now." And I said, "Yeah, I'm positive. We're still up and rolling, and then I got another one to put in this weekend. So I do them often. So we're still."
think of it like a short sale specialist, right? If you're a realtor and you're like, we kind of dabble, you just say, hey, let's cut that out of, like, let's not focus on that or whatever, or let's focus on. AnnieMac has a whole division that just that's all they do. And you're meeting with, you're watching videos of the guys that do it. So we can keep business as usual with that product, knowing that we have a whole team that basically runs with it. Let me pull up this next screen here, and we'll get right into the second modular, which I think is here. You seeing my screen?
Welcome back. In module 2, we're going to take a deeper dive into the actual loan programs, the process, and some of the products that we offer.
Okay, here are some of the topics we're actually going to discuss. Our red carpet renovation process, the FHA 203K loan, the limited and the standard version. We're going to talk a little bit about who a HUD consultant is and what role they play. We're also going to talk about conventional renovation loan programs such as the Homestyle. We're going to talk about the sales contract, some of the costs, FHA versus conventional, and then we'll wrap up with some basic questions and answers.
Red carpet renovation. Our red carpet renovation call is unique to AnnieMac. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is setting the right expectation and walking your clients through this unique process. One of the biggest misconceptions or the challenges that people have is that renovation loans are difficult simply because there's a lot of moving parts. So from inception, we take our dedicated team. So what is red carpet renovation? Red carpet renovation is an actual phone call that we've set up with our dedicated team where you as the realtor, your buyer, the attorneys, anyone involved in the transaction can get on the call and all the expectations are set from start to finish. We outline exactly what the buyer should expect. This way, it takes all the heavy lifting off of you as the agent to reiterate a process that you're not necessarily familiar with, especially since you're new to this program. On the red carpet call, we will go over all of the details, identify who's involved, and give your buyers the education they need to have a successful experience with a renovation loan.
The best part about the call is we do it right away. So we don't waste any time getting this information to the buyer so that they don't have to learn this loan program as they go along. Keeping the loan organized and efficient is one of the main recipes for a successful, smooth transaction when it comes to renovation. In addition to the other items covered on the red carpet call, we also discuss the people who are involved and the time that they're involved, setting the expectations as to when you should see these certain people, when we order certain parts of the loan program, make your job easier as a real estate agent because you're reminded of this each and every loan that you start with AnnieMac. There are many different loan programs that can include renovation today. We refer to them as loan products in the lending world. Most commonly, people know about the FHA 203K, but there's been a lot of involvement into different loan programs that we will cover today that will present more versatility and different options.
So the first product we're going to discuss today is the FHA 203K Limited. With the Limited, there's a maximum budget of $35,000 for the renovations. Your down payment is based off of the purchase price plus your budget, and the down payment requirement is 3.5% down. With this program, it's for primary residences only. 50% of the material costs is released 5 to 7 days after closing, and the remaining 50% is paid once the project is complete. The FHA 203K Limited is for non-structural and cosmetic repairs only, and the $35,000 limit includes contingency, permits, and any fees involved. So with the 203K Limited, all projects must be completed within 6 months. All contractors have to be well-funded, licensed, and certified, and a HUD consultant is not required with the limit. Yeah. So here are some examples of repairs that can be made to a property with a 203K Limited. Roofs, gutters, and downspouts, repairs of an HVAC system, anything plumbing and electrical, flooring, minor remodeling, such as redoing a kitchen, redoing a bathroom, painting, both interior and exterior, weatherization, installation of appliances, accessibility improvements for disabled buyers, lead-based paint stabilization, abatement, repair, replace exterior decks, patios, porches, basement finishes and remodeling that are non-structural in nature, window and door replacements, septic systems, well repair.
The next renovation loan program we're going to discuss is the FHA 203K Standard. This is a version of the loan program where a buyer is buying a home that is in need of major rehabilitation and when they could be structural in nature as well. The standard 203K is also used when the total renovation costs exceed $35,000. The borrower will also get an added layer of protection from the use of a 203K or HUD consultant. Consultants are experts in their field and are used to safeguard against under or overestimating the cost of the repairs. For this loan program, the down payment is 3.5%. The 3.5% requirement is based off of the purchase price of the house plus the repairs. Okay. For an FHA 203K, just like the Limited, you can only use this loan program for a home you're going to utilize as your primary residence. For an FHA 203K Standard, there is also a county loan limit. You can have your loan officer at AnnieMac look these loan limits up for you depending on where you're located. For an FHA 203K Standard, the repairs must be completed within 6 months. Contractors must be licensed and insured to provide good references. Contractors must also be well funded as they receive no money upfront unless it's for special orders that are not in stock. The following is a list of example repair items for the FHA 203K Standard. Structural alterations and additions, conversions of a multifamily to a single family or vice versa, upgrade central air, heat, and or electrical systems, repair termite or moisture damage, remodeled kitchen and baths, install or repair well or septic systems, roofing, gutters, downspouts, flooring, tiling and carpeting, interior or exterior painting, energy conservation improvements, major landscaping, improvements for disability accessibility, new freestanding appliances, foundation repair, or any other improvement that are a permanent part of the real estate. Luxury items are not permitted to be included in the financing of the FHA 203K standard. Here's some basics for the FHA 203K. The types of properties can include single-family homes, 2 to 4 unit multifamily, or mixed-use commercial and residential use together. Credit score requirements are 600 for the minimum FICO score, and the debt-to-income ratio that your loan officer will analyze is based on the approval of our standard automated underwriting systems. For a purchase of a home, you can put down as little as 3.5%, and if you're refinancing a home, you can borrow up to 97.75%. Ability to go up to 96.5 to 110% of the after improved value for all property types, except condos, which is limited to 100%, is also available on a refinance. There's something called identity of interest with an FHA 203K loan that's very important. One of the things that we also notice when we're dealing with buyers is that a lot of people tend to know someone in their family who might be a contractor. Well, FHA has some strict rules around not being able to use a contractor that you have an interest or an identity of interest with, hence a family member in that case. Getting a referral from a family member to a contractor is okay, you just cannot have a direct relation to them. We've identified the definition of what identity of interest is here in our slide as well. There's something called a contingency reserve for an FHA 203K loan, whether it be the limited or the standard. It's up to 20% of the cost of the rehabilitation, and it's 15% if the utilities were not on at the time of the inspection or appraisal. It has to be a minimum of 10%. So after the improvements are made, the contingency reserve account can be used by the borrower to make additional improvements to the dwelling. A request for change letter must be submitted with the applicable cost estimates, and the lender will determine the acceptability. Basically, it's like this. When you have a $50,000 renovation budget, for an example, and it's a 10% contingency reserve, what that means is $5,000 is added to the $50,000, because that's $5,000 is 10%, where those funds are going to be held for incidentals or unforeseen things that could take place during the renovation process. We use the example, the contractor takes down a wall, there's mold behind the wall, nobody knew the mold was there. This contingency reserve is there to make sure that the buyer or borrower of the loan does not have to go back into their pocket at any time, and that there's some extra money there to cover things that can come up. Basically, what the second portion of what we just mentioned is saying is that if the monies are not used at the end of the renovations, the buyer has the advantage of actually taking that and putting it back down towards the principal balance of their loan, or it can be used to supplement other finishing items with the contractor, such as molding or lighting or stuff like that. They can actually use that money. So it's a very nice safeguard in the renovation process to know that there is some security for the buyer as they go through the renovation phase after the loan is closed.
So now we're going to review the contract and costs associated with renovation financing. It's important that you identify in your contract that your buyers are going to apply for a renovation loan and indicate whether it's a Homestyle or a 203K. There are additional costs associated with renovation financing, largely due to the fact that we're working on these loans up to 6 months after the buyer takes possession. So after closing, there's title updates, consultant inspections, supplemental origination fees, architect and permit costs, which are all identified upfront at the point of pre-qualification so that your buyers understand exactly what's associated with the renovation loan from a cost perspective.
You've heard us mention the FHA 203K consultant, or commonly known as a HUD consultant, already during this certification class. So who is that person? Well, a consultant is an advocate to the client and also is the eyes and the ears for the lender. What they're going to do is an initial write-up called an SOR. The SOR stands for Specification of Repairs. They also are going to approve for draws by doing draw inspections. That's where they go out and make sure something was completed so that the contractor can be paid. And they're also going to be looking at the exit inspections. What you see next is a sample specification of repair report, commonly known as the SOR. So this is going to be a report that the HUD consultant is going to draw up. This is going to be somewhat of a roadmap for what needs to be done to make the home habitable. So there's a few different portions of the SOR. The consultant goes out to the house and will notate all of the things that need to be done regardless of if the buyer wants to or not. So those are going to be health and safety areas or incompleted areas of the home that we know need to be fixed. In addition, the HUD consultant is going to have a section where he may make some recommendations, where he may say the roof has only a few years left on it. It doesn't need to be fixed, but we recommend that you consider doing it. And in addition to that, lastly, the buyer themselves have the ability to say, you know what, this kitchen, yeah, it's functioning and we like it just fine, but we would like to, you know, take these countertops and make them granite. That's not something that needs to be done, but that's something they'd like to do. So the SOR report, when it initially comes in, will contain all of those things. What the consultant will then do is they will itemize everything out by a cost for both material and labor to give the buyer an idea or an estimate of what they think that project that they're looking at will cost. And another feature of the SOR, the HUD consultant will put on there how many months the project will require the home buyer to not live in the house. Now, this is a very unique piece of the SOR because let's say, for an example, that the SOR is noted where there is only going to be 2 months that the home buyer may not live in the house. Maybe they're taking the roof off of the home, or they're fixing, you know, plumbing or electric where it's not safe for them to be in the home during that time. Well, with our renovation loan programs, the home buyer can actually finance those 2 months in this example, those mortgage payments into the overall renovation budget. And the assumption there is that for those 2 months, they will have to pay to live elsewhere during that time. Therefore, if we did not allow for that, they would potentially have to pay to live somewhere during those 2 months, and also the mortgage payments during that time. So it's a very nice feature for you to consider when you're dealing with a home buyer who might say, you know, well, I'd like to do this big job, but where am I supposed to go during the job? Well, you know, the easy answer is there's a potential for you to finance mortgage payments during those months into the overall renovation budget. The FHA 203K consultant does have a cost for their services. The beauty of this is that these costs are predetermined and set by the federal government. So it's very easy for us as a lender and you as a realtor to discuss how much those costs are. The cost for the consultant is based solely on how much of the repairs are going to cost. So if you see a chart here that we have in our presentation, for example, repairs from $0 to $7,500, the consulting costs $400. Well, if you go to a repair of $50,000 to $75,000, that consultant would cost $800. In some cases, if the buyer is unsure about what type of work is needed to be done, there is an ability to do something called a feasibility study. That price is subject to be priced by the actual HUD consultant depending on the property. The beauty of this is that not everybody knows if it's going to be a $35,000 repair or less, and know whether we're going to need to do a limited version or the standard FHA 203K. So in some cases, if that's an option that the home buyer would like to consider, a feasibility study can be ordered, therefore showing them exactly how much they think the actual renovations will be, and that will help the buyer and the loan officer decide whether the FHA 203K standard or limited is more suitable.
So the next program we're going to discuss is the conventional Fannie Mae Homestyle. The Fannie Mae Homestyle Renovation Loan is our standard renovation program for conventional loans. With this program, you can perform all the same renovations as with an FHA 203K, but without the limitations, since after all, this is a conventional loan. The final loan amount can be as high as the max county limit, and that will vary, obviously, by county. Renovation costs are limited to 75% of the completed value of the home. You can finance a primary residence with as little as 3% down of the purchase price and the cost of the renovation. If you wish to put down 20%, unlike the FHA 203K, with the conventional home style, you can avoid mortgage insurance. Primary homes, second homes, and investment properties are eligible with the Fannie Mae Home Style. With the conventional Fannie Mae Home Style, in addition to what you can do on an FHA 203K, the Home Style will allow for luxury items such as swimming pools and outdoor kitchens. Here are some parameters for the Fannie Mae Home Style. 1 to 4 unit primary residence, 1 unit second homes, and 1 unit investment properties, which is unlike the FHA 203K that only allows financing for primary residences. You need to have a 620 minimum credit score, and your debt to income will follow the DU findings. Fannie Mae Home Style will allow for a 1 unit primary residence to be financed with as little as 3% down. A 2 unit property requires 15% down. 3 to 4 unit properties require 75% down. A second home can be financed with 10% down. 1 unit investment properties require 15% down. Refinances require 75% down on investment properties. As you can see, there's a lot more flexibility with the Home Style than the FHA 203K.
The next person in the renovation loan process we'd like to discuss is the contractor. Clearly, this is somebody who's a very important role, and we encourage that all of the buyers that are looking for contractors try to find the right one that isn't just the cheapest price. It's definitely a case of you get what you pay for. When we look at a contractor, we require the contractors to be licensed and insured. They have to execute the homeowner and contractor agreement. So there is a small package that we do have them fill out. If we go back to the red carpet call that we have with our buyers, we actually will send them the contractor package that early on in the process. We tell our buyers, don't make the contractor the reason why you don't close on time. So you do want to find a contractor who's medium or larger sized. This also is a requirement for them to be well funded. So a one-man band, single contractor generally is not going to be the right fit for this. They have to provide detailed written estimates of the work to be completed and give us a bid as well. We also give them an outline of how they are paid, and we need them to understand the way that they are paid via the draws. You can have up to 3 specialized contractors on a limited K and 1 general contractor on a full 203K or home style. There is some recommended training for contractors, and that's available at 203kcontractors.com. Some recommended places to find a contractor could be Angie's List, Home Advisor, House.com. Obviously, just looking at testimonials or reviews of local contractors as well. So lastly, we're going to compare the FHA 203K to a conventional renovation mortgage. So FHA allows for credit scores down to a 600, where conventional is 620. FHA allows for higher debt to income ratios than a conventional loan will. Part of what your loan officer is going to do is determine which renovation loan is actually better and more suitable for your client when we're pre-qualifying them. So this is something that's good for you to know, but not something that you're actually going to have to physically do. Conventional is less expensive because there's no mortgage insurance depending on the loan to value. There's an upfront mortgage insurance that applies to 100% of FHA mortgages. There's less restrictions on conventional from a minimum property standards requirement. And there's no identity of interest on conventional. Again, the identity of interest is when you actually know the contractor. You cannot know the contractor for FHA, where you could have an identity of interest with the contractor for a conventional loan. Luxury items such as pools are allowed on conventional, but not allowed on an FHA. Conventional is capped on the amount of the work that is allowed to be in the renovation to 75% of the after improved value, where FHA has no cap. As you can tell, there are some distinctive differences between FHA and conventional renovation mortgages. A word or tip of advice for you would be to just refer to these types of programs as renovation loans. Let your AnnieMac loan officer determine which one is more right for your borrower or buyer. And that completes the certification. You'll now be asked to take a 10-question quiz.
Upon completion of your quiz, you will become a certified renovation real estate agent.
Would like to be the first to congratulate you and thank you for your time again today. And please thank the loan officer who's in the room with you today for sponsoring you for this National Lunch and Learn. Thank you. Take care.
Good.
All right.
Everyone back on. All right, cool. So the quiz is actually going to be emailed to you. If you don't mind, real quick, just in the go in the chat real quick. I know Jesse probably has everyone's email, but if you could just type your email in the chat real quick, I can screenshot it. Make sure I get everyone. I'll CC Jesse on it. Make sure everyone has their test to do. I usually hand them out paper, then we grade them and turn them in. But I think with the online, you could just, if you don't pass right away, you could just take it again. So just keep taking it until you pass, and then Jesse will get all the certifications in the mail. It's actually, we'll frame them and bring them out to you. So you'll actually have it as your renovation certified. Take your picture with it, do a video on it once you get it, and start pushing it that, you know, you're a renovation certified realtor, and it's going to allow you to tap into that market. And if there's, you know, investors, you know, sometimes investors cash tied up in some projects. We've definitely used it where they can leverage the product for another project to
Hey, Jared, will you, so me and Jerry met on this is how we met, and I get a lot of deals this way because the renovation loans that I do. Jared, do you want to talk about how we even got together a couple years ago with what was going on with your renovation loan and how it was a disaster? And when you brought it to me, we closed in 3 weeks. Everybody was happy, and do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think I guess this was 2018 when we met. Yeah, we had a mixed use property in North Philly.
4 unit, I think.
Yeah, four unit property. And I'm not going to say the mortgage company we were with, but we went under contract. I think it was
Go ahead.
back in what was it? Maybe August. We were supposed to be set for a 45-day close. Long story short, we got out to November, still had not closed yet on that property. Ton of issues when it came to the appraisers. I think we had 3 different appraisers with that one mortgage company. They couldn't figure anything out. We kept getting, they didn't have a real consultant, HUD consultant or anything like that. So it was pretty bad. And I at the time, I think was Kevin Berjou who was working over there, and I introduced them, and then they ended up, I was like, hey, y'all should go with AnnieMac. This is all they do. I had the seller at the time, so I think they connected with you, got the pre-approval done, and you're right, in 3 weeks we were able to get everything closed. It ended up working out pretty great, and I think you just saw the final results over there. You did a great job on the property, but I mean, we went from being under contract for about 2-3 months on a 45-day close to getting a new application done and closed within 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I think when you're dealing with renovation loans, and I can't stress it enough how important it is to work with someone that really knows what they're doing. And I talk to realtors all the time about the renovation process, and a lot of them are scared. They don't want to do them ever again. And I ask them why. Well, they had a horrible experience with one time that they did it. And, I want to let you know this, we're very, very experienced when it comes to renovation loans. I think I did 20 some myself last year. Just renovation loans. I do them all the time. And like I said, I get calls from other lenders that can't do them, and I'll take them over from there too. So we know what we're doing, and I want you guys to utilize. I think it's going to be a really, really important time to utilize Reno moving forward too, because unfortunately, in probably the next year or so, there might be a lot of foreclosures. And it's just what I see coming. But this is going to be a perfect time to utilize those renovation loans and things like that. even when you're listing a house, I think it's a perfect opportunity. You know, sometimes you can't get that house sold. You're wondering why isn't it selling? Well, there's stuff wrong with it. Maybe if we, or they're underwater, like that, you know, and that might be happening when people are going into forbearances and putting their payments off, like now they're doing. Listen, when they go to sell their house or want to do something, well, they're going to have to pay that money back, and they might not have the money to sell that house then. So if we can add an addition, another bathroom, kitchen, whatever, it's going to increase the value of that house. And then we can sell the house for them as well. And then, you know, make it a win-win for everybody.
Well, I have two quick questions for you, because there were two things I wrote down that I didn't realize that there was a homeowner renovation loan as well. So, you know, I know a lot of people, you know, have went over to Compass and things like that. People are using them for a bit because of the concierge program. So can you touch on that a little bit more? Because I didn't even realize that.
Do you mean homeowner, like someone living in a house? It's basically,
yeah, someone living in a house looking to sell and they need to get the renovation loan.
It's the same process. I handle it the same way, and it's a refinance. A HUD consultant goes out, figures out exactly what they want to do to that house. Obviously, if it's one of your listings or something like that, we can get you more involved, because then you'll know exactly what adding a bathroom or a kitchen, maybe a second floor, is going to put onto the value of the house, so we can get it sold for the right amount, put some money in their pocket, get the house sold, you get paid, and then we move on from it and everybody's happy. Where that listing might just go because they might be underwater or they can't get it sold.
Now, is that getting financed or not financed? Is that getting paid back at close, or how does that work?
So we would do the renovation loan first.
Okay.
After the reno loan is done, and all those costs, it's like a refinance. So the borrower wouldn't incur anything. Like
equity.
The borrower wouldn't see nothing coming out of pocket because it's a refinance.
Yeah,
got it. Okay.
If you ever went to a listing appointment and you go to the sellers, hey, we have two options here. We can either make these improvements to get you the top of the market, or obviously there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We're going to have to give consideration to the buyers to make the improvements to get the home to where it needs to be. Like, if that conversation is ever comes up, it's 100% renovation. Whether it's your renovation to the sellers to say, hey, let's look at refining this, making this thing prettier and getting you the top of the market, or they go, no, like, we're done with this, and say, okay. I just had one in Croydon. 210 was top of the market. We ended up selling it for 130 we used a sign like AnnieMac. Jesse can get you, this house is renovation certified, 203K like loans approved. And you put that next to your sign when you're marketing that listing, so people know going into it, they have the mentality of like, okay, they understand that this house isn't pristine and some work needs to get done, and they have the financing already lined up for it. I didn't have that house marketed 203K for about 45 days. As soon as we put the 203K sign on it, someone came in and said, yeah, this is perfect, and it went. So I would definitely look at your listings if you're ever talking about improvements or consideration due to the condition of the home. This product's coming up all day long.
Because that's a good point, Brian, because listen, if someone's going out to that property that you're speaking of, and number one, the realtor doesn't know about renovation loans, or they have no clue and they think that they have to come out of pocket to fix that house. They're looking at a $130,000 house and they're like, no, wait, I don't have the money. I only got 10 grand.
Or they're thinking it's not going to approve FHA and that's the only financing I have.
Exactly. So very, very important to like market, have the property marketed right too. So everybody is aware that, because we don't know who's showing the property and they might have no clue that it's actually a renovation. We can do a renovation loan where they're not going to have to come out of pocket for it.
And we're giving consideration for that renovation being done in the listing price, as opposed to like, trying to get people to visualize the post-construction value of the home. You're basically falling on the sword up front and saying, yes, we are giving consideration, which with that information behind it just pulls everything together.
So my second question is, I just thought about this earlier, because obviously, you can't have a conflict of interest of knowing the contractor, but it made me think about so many people who are inheriting homes or they're getting a property from their family. So say, you know, I have my dad and he's like, okay, well, you know, I want to give you this property. Is it possible to do a renovation loan with that, or would I just have to do a home equity loan? Could I do a 203K loan with a property that I'm getting from my dad for $1?
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't see any problem with that. When they talk about identity of interest, they're more or less talking
I know
about,
that's more on the, I know that's more on the contractors, but it just made me think about, you know, if I'm getting a
no, I
property
think you're
for
definitely
$1,
okay with
you know.
that because it's going over into your name. And then there's no identity of interest with your father and things like that. But they really like to, you know, everybody, you know, contractors, if your uncle's a contractor, your father, sometimes I deal with clients and, well, my dad's a contractor, he's going to come, or I'm the contractor, I want to do all the work. Well, you can't.
Yep.
You know, I wish we could, but you never know what, you know, there could be shady stuff going on, and we try to alleviate all that, and it's just not allowed. That's why.
Jesse,
Absolutely.
one thing they didn't talk about, and I know there's not a 6-month hold on the mortgage before a resale on these renovation loans, right? They can move right away.
We would like to hold it for 6 months.
Right.
And honestly, the construction might take 3 months anyways, depending on, you know, we don't want to, you know, if you're going to be flipping houses, you probably should
Probably
go.
not a good product.
It's not, you know, if lenders are just, if we're doing flip loans, you know, all the time, we're going to be out of business.
Yeah, the buy and hold investor, it's
Yeah.
fine. For the flip guy, it's not good. So.
Yes, so that's why. And another thing, and I don't know if they mentioned this in the video or not, but a great thing about these products too, you listen, let's say a borrower has like the one we did, Jerry had a $280,000 reno project, big reno loan.
Yeah.
Just the reno alone was $280. And he refinanced, he financed 6 payments into the mortgage. So he didn't have to pay, while all that construction was getting done, he didn't have to pay a mortgage payment. And that's really, really key as well. You know, so I wouldn't want to pay more if I'm buying a house and I know that there's construction getting done on it and I'm not able to live in it. I don't want to pay a mortgage on it too. Why I'm not being able to live in it either. So that's important. We can finance up to 6 payments and we can see how long the construction is going to take. If it's only going to take 3 months, or 90 days, and finance 1 or 2 payments into it, because you don't need to finance 6, obviously. We don't want to put you on the back end too much, but that's available as well.
Awesome.
Cool. So does anybody else have any questions or anything?
No.
Guess we're good.
All right.
All right,
So
I'll get
we'll
the
send
text
out those emails to everybody that was on here. And you'll take that 10 question quiz. We can get you a Reno certification, which is cool. You can put on the bottom of your emails that you are Reno certified. So that looks good as well.
Perfect.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool. Happy Friday. Have a good day, guys.
Have a good
Thank you.
weekend. Take care, everybody.